Hmm. Okay, so I'm getting a message where someone didn't expect you to react the way you did to something. They feel like you didn't react the way someone expected. Okay, that's what I'm getting. You didn't react the way someone expected you to. They're used to having a certain level of control or hold on people, but there's something about you to where you didn't react the way they expected you to. There's some type of harshness that they have within them, this person, and they try to pass it on to you like they normally do. This is something about craving attention. I don't know. Hold on. I'm trying to pick up the signals. This is something about craving attention. Somebody craving attention. And so they behaved a certain way towards you, but it was on purpose to get some type of rise. But it feels like they were in karmic energy. It feels karmic. It feels like karmic energy. It feels like they do have regrets about how they behaved towards you. Because they actually do have love for you, is what I'm seeing here, okay? Something they said was harsh, something they did was harsh. Is either an action or a statement or both. But there's something that someone said or did to you and it affected you in a negative way because you felt disrespected by it. This person could be very sharp with their tongue. They could be very sharp with their tongue. Yeah. So it feels like they are regretful for it. They're like, damn, why did I do that? It feels like they could be real slick with the mouth. It feels like their tongue is just crazy. Where it make you want to say, who are you talking to? You know? What's up? Sometimes people could be like that. Where you get a quick like, wait, what? Like, you know, it feels like this is that type of person where they'll give off that energy where you feel like you need to take a double take. Like, did they just say that to me or am I tripping? This is the energy that I'm getting. And I feel like you actually like this person. But after they pulled this move on you, it made you second guess if you actually want them to be in your life or not. It's kind of like, are you really down for me? Or are you trying to affect me in a negative way off the strength of your ego? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like this person is heavily in their ego. And they do like to have a certain level of control. I clearly see that. They like to have a certain level of control. However, I don't feel like they realized just how, I heard, poisoned they've become. They don't know just how poisoned they've become. I heard bow down. Okay, this person has that energy where they want people to bow down to them, okay? That's the energy that I'm getting. Like this person expected you to just do what they say. It's like you're not feeling like that though. That's not the energy that you fell for. It feels like you fell for this person, but then they decided to show their ass. That's what it feels like to me. Yeah. They decided to show their ass. Maybe this person could be well off financially. So they, that might, you know, make them gloat a lot or have this certain perspective to where they put themselves on a pedestal, but not within like reality. Kind of like Money doesn't make a person makes a person, okay? Money doesn't make a person makes a person. What's your heart like? You know, how do you view the world? How do you view yourself? How do you view those around you? However, this person, it feels like this person could have gone through a lot in their earlier years, but once they got the money, they kind of switched up. You know how they say, some people say, money would never change me. This is someone where the money actually did change them. I don't think they meant for that to happen. However, it had a lot to do with their surroundings and who was around them. It's kind of like they were influenced by their environment, and they didn't mean for that to happen. So when someone came around like you, and you was like really about that life, you was about like really respecting someone and being there for them, supported. And there's also something here about you making things work. Even if you're like going through something, you still wanted to be there for that person. Like you gave your energy to this person in such a way where you expected, let me just say this, you didn't expect them to act the way they acted. You didn't expect them to behave this way, because all you did was give love. You gave respect. You gave them what they thought, or what you thought they deserved, because at first you didn't see, okay, see, this person is a King of Pentacles, so this person is well off financially. They are. And they could be, they could have this energy that's very sure of themselves, and it's also given like someone who many would want to be in a relationship with. But there's something here, you see how God, I'm viewing this right now as a representation of God, the Hierophant. You see how it's behind this person? It's not, it came out this way, the cards, right? If the Hierophant was in the front, it would make me feel like they're moving from a place of godliness. When they walk, they put their God mind first. So they do things with good intention to try to be there for people and for themselves and show up in such a way of to be the best person that they could be. But what I'm seeing here is that like the representation of God is behind them. And then the young energy is in the front. You see this younger energy? This is a page. Pages are always like younger, could be immature, could not have much to offer. In the physical, this person has much to offer, but it doesn't mean that they always give what they have in the physical. But spiritually, this person is distorted or was distorted. It could be a thing where they've changed, but I don't really feel that yet. I just wanted to say was. It just depends on, you know, who this person is for you. But with this, what I'm looking at is like someone who is in a very immature energy where it's almost like they're an adult, right? But they still have these hidden teenage ways. You know how young people do. They just be doing stuff and not really sure what they're doing exactly, but they do it anyway. And it feels like this person gets into that energy when they're within their like personal space, like personal life, just separated from the business life, to which makes them a King of Pentacles. However, they're not an emperor or an empress. An emperor or an empress knows themselves. They know their space. They understand how to move space and time. They also understand like the effect that they have on others, and they take heed to it. So they're not going to be so quick to disrespect people and make people feel out of place on purpose. This person has a void. There was like, I feel trauma is inside of this person that they chose not to pay attention to for too long, because then it began to eat them from the inside out. And I mean that in a way of really making them feel like they disappeared, like making them feel like they're not themselves. You know that energy I'm talking about, like where I'm sure many of you may have felt that before in life, where you feel like something's off and you're trying to find your way, but you're not quite sure. It feels like this person was there, but they tried to camouflage that with their physical, like what they have financially or materialistically. So they would put forth their money and their things and maybe even their looks in order to fill the void, but they kept on neglecting that inner child that needed a little help. So being that they still have that inner child within them that needs to be healed, they would project that energy out on many people around them. even friends sometimes, even family sometimes. And their words could be very harsh. However, that energy is how they feel towards themselves. And they kept on projecting that out. And you're one of the individuals that ended up reaping the worst of it, just because they know that you had love for them. You see how it's a little confusing and backwards? But because they know that you had love for them, they took that and ran with it to puff themselves up, to fill the void that's within them. He has a lot of grown up. Well, that's good. So that's it. That shows that. See, you remember when I just said, for some of you, the person, this could be past tense. And then I'm also feeling like I'm talking about it right now, but it could be past tense. So this person could be someone who, for you, like I said, this is someone who is changing now. So they're recognizing what they needed to fix within themselves, because they're realizing that it's not the best way to be, and how they were actually affecting people in a negative way. Many times people that act like this, they don't even know the severity of what they do. They just walking around doing. And they're moving from a very young-minded energy that hasn't really had much experience. And it's more so like emotionally. Like emotional intelligence is very powerful to have, especially now. Many people are sad. They be walking around so sad and down. And many people suffer in silence. So a person like this, they're also suffering in silence, you know, but they turn into a bully to deal with it. Like this person would turn into a bully. So that's what I'm getting. And oftentimes they just feel alone. Regardless of if they're around people, they feel alone because they're not being honest with how they truly feel. And they'll continue to suffer and project. So they want to get that energy up off of them and give it to somebody else because they don't want it. Nobody really wants to deal with that. Nobody want to really feel that pain. But in order for someone to grow, they have to walk through the darkness. They got to feel the pain. They got to face it. Otherwise, it's never going to heal. And they're going to feel like that until their last day. You know, that doesn't make sense. So that's the energy that I'm getting here. So if you have somebody that was talking to you crazy, acting crazy towards you, being very harsh, like unnecessarily, like showing no, like almost making you feel like you don't have no value, that is someone that is hurting inside. When somebody loves themselves so much, they're not gonna want to give that energy. They're not gonna want to give that low vibrational energy to someone. Even if they do feel down, they wouldn't even want to share it with everyone. No matter if it's someone who is open to sharing that information, they don't want to like burden somebody else. You know how some people are like, you know, I have some stuff on my mind, but I don't want to burden you. I don't want to give you that. Someone that is of like a higher vibration, no matter what they're going through, is not going to project their stuff on somebody else. They're just not going to do that. So this person knows that they have weaknesses, but they don't even know. It feels like they don't even know what to do with it. They don't even know how to. And a lot of people are like that, where they don't even know what to do with their emotions. They don't know because they're not used to feeling like that much. That's too much feeling. So it makes them feel discomfort to even face those types of emotions because they're so powerful. Our emotions can overtake us. So this person doesn't like to feel like that because it makes them feel weak. It makes them feel like too soft, you know? A man doesn't want to feel soft. It's easier for a woman to cry and feel like soft and like a damsel in distress. It's easier for us to do that because we have that nurturing energy. But for a man don't want to feel like that. That's like, and especially from a societal perspective, I think that's another layer of stress that they have to deal with. Because if you notice, like a lot of young men are like, no, you're not supposed to cry. And then they walk around with all these tears inside and they don't cry, and then that's not good for anybody because you got to get it out, you know? So that's what I'm feeling from this person, and I feel like they feel very regretful and apologetic for what they've done, because I just heard your energy is worth much more than money, okay? And this person is realizing that. It's almost like they became the person that has everything they want materialistically, but emotionally there was nothing there. It was like an emptiness. Even if they were with certain people, or even if they chose to have like go on dates and be with multiple people, either way, it was still an emptiness here. So this person could have also tried to fill that void with that way of being, you know, going on a lot of dates, mixing with a lot of people. Sometimes people are that way because that's just, they like that. They gravitate towards that lifestyle, and it has a lot to do with wanting to feel that boost of the ego. And you know, when a person's ego is stroked, some people go for that. Like, they want it so bad, like they need that in their life because it helps them to keep going. But what this person needs to work on is being able to generate their own energy instead of needing someone else's energy to feel like they have enough fuel to keep going in life. It's dangerous when you have to depend on someone else's energy to feel like you okay. That's dangerous. So this person was actually treading on dangerous territory by moving in that way. But a lot of people that move this way, which it could be women too, they don't really know until it's kind of like too late and the damage is already done. And people that move in this energy, most times people are scared of them. So they ain't gonna tell them how they really feel. They're not gonna say like, you know, I don't like how you treated me or whatever. They're not gonna say anything to this person because many people fear them. Now, every now and again, there'll be someone that's like a real one that would express themselves to this person, you know, but it with this type of energy, it's not gonna come by often because this person's energy is very towering, I want to say, like overpowering and towering to where they'll make people feel very intimidated. Okay, let's see. Thank you, darling. Lauren, how you say your last name? Mastroviti? Did I say it right? Mastroviti? Is that Italian? That last name? Hello, honey. Hello. Okay, let's see. Let's see what else Spirit wants you to know about this situation. Because this is something that, these are like these deep things that it is Italian. It looks Italian, you know? I don't know. I'll be having like an ear and an eye for those things. Just like Indian names. I don't know. They just stick out to me. Let's see. Also like German names. Those stick out to me. Like I could just tell. Even though I don't speak the language, but I could just see something in there. I don't even know what it is I see. I don't even know how to explain why I know that. Okay, let's see. All right, so this person has been working on themselves. They've actually been working on themselves for a long time, but they try to hide it. Like they don't want nobody to know. I don't know why they don't want nobody to know. Why? See, they be thinking about it by themselves. They be thinking about it by themselves, how they want to be. They want to improve themselves. They want to be better, but it's so hard for them because they, you know, like they was thriving off of that way of life for so long that it's like they became a host to that way of life. You know how like there's a parasite and a parasite could be a host of a person or an animal. They became a parasite to a way of being that wasn't good for them. And they just felt like it made them feel strong. You know, people tend to want to do things that make them feel strong and empowered. And the promiscuity and the disrespecting people made them feel strong and empowered. And it wasn't in the best way because you end up burning bridges and having a lot of enemies that way. And so it's like, it's sad, but this person can see now. And I think that's the best thing about it, being able to see, because in life we all make mistakes. That's just what it is. We all make mistakes. But what's most important is for us to understand what others could be going through. Because there's not enough times where we sit back and think, why is that person acting like that? I don't feel like we ask why enough. There's like this way that we have within us where I feel like it's been like secretly implanted in our subconscious mind to not think on a deeper level in order to understand a person in their ways and why they acting like that. Because when you understand the background of a person and why they behave the way they do, it could kind of allow you to give them grace and separate yourself from them without having that, like holding a grudge. Because these people could be very vicious. I'm not gonna front. And I'm not giving them a pass. I'm just really just stating the facts. It is what it is. People go through things, people handle things in certain ways to cope with trauma that was never healed. And this person is fighting to heal themselves, seriously. Like, they're really trying to choose to move from a nurturing, loving place, however, still hold their strength. Like, still maintain their warrior energy is what I'm feeling. This is how this person is feeling, because they're just like tired of this way. They could have put up a front to make it seem like they were still okay with it, but they weren't really okay with it. Like, they're tired. They're actually very tired of this way of life, because it's tiring. It's draining. Okay. And they're starting to see the value of their own energy. There's something about them not seeing the value of their own energy. So they were like devaluing themselves off the strength of what they chose to engage in, is what I'm getting. Like, it was like a devalue. Like, they're better than that on a deeper level, but they didn't see it, so they were acting out of character. They were really acting out of their own character, because they weren't choosing their environment. They kind of like allowed the spaces to choose them, because they just went along with things that they really didn't think about. They just were just moving. It's what it just feels like. They were just moving, but they're realizing more about the wholeness of their energy. They were missing their heart. That's what they were missing. They were missing the being able to move from a place of their heart. And they were just moving around with their money, because the money talks. You know that saying? Money talks. So they let that money talk. And then, what is it? Money talk and bullshit walks. Isn't that what they say? So it's almost like they lived by that way. They lived by that. And it was not good for them. You know, they ended up finding themselves in places and around people that they really didn't care to be around, because they realized that it was empty. You know, it just feels like they were living in a space of emptiness. They were living in the void by filling it with darkness. Like, there's no light. And, you know, the void is an open space, but they didn't fill it with something that could replenish them. You know how, like, say for instance, you're outside and it's hot and you thirsty, you're gonna want some water, right? Or something to drink, something cold or something just refreshing for the moment. So this person wasn't giving themselves water. They were giving themselves, like, say for example, I don't know, alcohol. When you drink too much alcohol, you get thirsty. You know, when you feed your body toxins, no matter if it's something that you consume, you know, by actually consumed by the mouth or the mind, the eyes, the ears, the eyes, the mouth. They were just, everything that they consumed, no matter in which way, it was affecting them, because that's what they decided to use to fill the void. And every time they did it, they didn't realize that they were losing themselves. So it's like, empaths, we have a problem with feeling really, really bad for people like this, and we want to help them, right? And you could do a little thing, you could do a little something, you could do what you can. But I just want to say, don't overextend yourself to individuals who are not even ready to make the change for themselves, because a person must know that they want to change for themselves before they will actually change. Nobody can change anybody. You can only show them and guide them to the water. What is it? You can only guide a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it. That's true. It's the same thing. Like, and the water is the nourishment that I was just talking about, because I used the analogy about it being hot. You need some water, but then you drink alcohol and that make you thirsty. So it's like you become more, your soul, everything within you, your psyche, your mind, like your spirit is thirsty at that point for more, like for a true connection with the person, and or just with life. This type of energy gets disconnected not only from themselves and people, but from life. And it's almost like everybody becomes a toy to play with. That's interesting, but it's true. It's actually very it's not a narcissistic way of being, because narcissists usually don't really care about other people. They just care about themselves. They don't care about nobody. So everybody's used as a toy, and a narc is an opportunist, you know? So it's like, if you're not giving me any opportunity, and you're not doing anything for me, then I can't be around you. However, in a way, that's not a bad thing. It just needs to be handled properly, because in this day and age, you don't want to be around people that are going to be dead weight in your life either. You want to be around people that have a growth mindset, because if you're around a bunch of people that don't want to grow and don't want to see a positive change in their life for the better, you're going to end up going down right along with them. No, nobody got no time for that. Okay? No, this person is nervous about something. What are they nervous about? This person is nervous. It's almost like they're thinking about all of the good people that they hurt. Like all of the good people that they, it feels like this person was a heartbreaker. So they're starting to look back on all the broken hearts that they were, how can I say it? How do I want to say it? They are the cause of many broken hearts. Let me say it like that. And they're starting to think about the past. There's something about the past. It could be you. What about the strength? They admire the strength of those that they hurt, that did exude strength, because a lot of people did not show that strength. So I feel like you're one of the individuals that showed strength. And they're feeling like there's an aspect of them where they're spending a lot of time alone, because they feel like that time alone is going to help them to actually see themselves better. This person likes to be around a lot of people. Feels like many people know this person, so they're often around a lot of people. However, it's like lately they've been feeling like they need to be by themselves, because they need to reflect on things that they've done, and they need to like be quiet to hear themselves feel and think. Like they need to feel themselves to understand what they need to change within themselves, because this person genuinely does want to change. And you know, I don't always see this. Sometimes people stay in that energy. There's also something here, because this is falling over the Hierophant. They feel like they disrespected God. They feel like they was being ruthless and disrespectful. They also feel like they have a lot to learn. I think the Royal Priestess just said that a few messages ago, that someone told her that she has or that they have a lot to learn. This shows, this is someone who learns. This is a Page of Swords. This is like a young person, or it just could be someone who's doing something new, like they're new to whatever the thing is that they're doing. And the sword is a representation of air. Air is thought in the mind, you know, and also speaking and communication. So this person is learning about how to communicate from their heart, as well as they're learning how to communicate to their higher self within, because they've been disconnected for so long from themselves and they didn't realize it until they did. And you could have been the catalyst to them realizing this, just because that's what we do for each other in life. When you encounter a person, many times we grow through our relationships that we have with others, because we learn from one another. Yeah, so this person is like bound to a change, okay? With this Devil and the Freedom, I could look at this in two ways though, because they were also, they were living on demon time and they was free with it. They had no problem. They had no problem living on demon time at some point, but they realizing, okay, I think I'm done. I think I should stop now. They feel like this is their thoughts. I think I should stop. I think I should relax, because this lifestyle really didn't get me anywhere. You know, they're ready to be with somebody like you that matches them. But there's something about them feeling like they need to match you on a spiritual level, okay? That's what I'm getting. On a spiritual level, they feel like they need to match you, okay? Because it's like, even if you're not where you want to be financially, they know that, they know your worth. It's almost like they see more worth in you than you may see in yourself. This person does have a heart. They're starting to feel it more, because that was just words from the heart, and I'm channeling. So this person is really working on themselves. It's just that before they come back into your life, just make sure that you feel it's right and they don't say nothing crazy to you or make you feel some type of way. And if they do make you feel some type of way and they trying to come back in, you're going to have to really check that. And you're going to have to talk about it and not ignore it. They have me mistaken with a boy who gave 2 fucks before. Well, I've grown up now and there will not be a third. Why are you so angry? Why you put the little mad grumpy face too? Well, that's good. So if you changed, that's a good thing. This reading is not to make you mad. It's just truth. It's what people go through. People go through stuff and they be tripping. Sometimes we be tripping in life. That's what happens in the beginning. We don't know. We just trying to figure it out and we go along with the environment. If you was around, how do you say your name? I don't know how to say your name. I don't want to butcher it right now. I was going to try, but I'm not. I'm going to call you O. Okay, O? I want to say, like, if you're around a bunch of people and in your environment, you guys need to do that, that's all. Okay. If you're around a bunch of people in your environment and they was living that lifestyle where they was tripping and they was doing what they wanted, maybe it's not even considered tripping. Maybe it's just you want to do what you want. And you realize that that's not really what you want. It's just a part of life. That's okay. It's the things that happen in the life. This is the life. It's confusing and it's illusions. And there's layers and layers of all types of things. Good, bad, and ugly. It's our job in this life to figure it out and do what is best for our soul and our spirit. Just to keep it simple, you know? Just keep it simple. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, okay? I'm going to end this video because I just went past the 30-minute mark. Alright? Alright. I love you all. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next message. Bye. And you're welcome.